it's Elisa, half Asian Tarot Queen, and I'm back. I had fallen off the grid for a few days because there were some really big climaxes that were going down in life, and so I've started doing the readings again, and ever since I sort of rejoined the matrix or showed back up, the readings have been kind of crazy. I mean, I did this redemption reading which had like just the most bizarre synchronicities that came through, where I was, you know, literally like calling the cards before they fell out, you know, plus there were just a number of coincidences that happened in that reading that were just like, wow, you know. And then I did one for the new moon, and that was crazy, because if you've been following this channel, you'll know that there's like a number of threads or storylines that kind of come through, and you know, they're sort of recurring on the channel. So it's sort of like a daytime soap opera where there's this certain cast of characters that sort of recurs, and yesterday, or in the new moon in Aquarius reading, which is all about revolutionary change, you know, that's the new moon, there was just this crazy climax that happened where there's just like these recurring threads that are always happening on the channel, and they all kind of intersected on this one storyline, you know. So there's like 4 or 5 threads that just like all kind of descended on this one storyline, which is pretty far out, you know. So anyways, one of the threads which that it intersected with was the storyline of the Divine Feminine, which I've had particularly powerful readings around in the last couple weeks. So I thought it might be a good moment to check in with that storyline of the Divine Feminine to see where we are with that. Okay, so anyways, and there was an extra card that fell out, but it's kind of crazy what just fell out, because it just pretty much goes along with what I was saying. So what's crazy is I was just talking about the new moon Aquarius reading and the redemption reading, which happened right before that, and 2 of the cards that fell out were from those readings. So we have the owl, which this came out in the new moon and Aquarius reading, and this is all about sort of like wisdom, you know, being open to the wisdom that's around us. So like wisdom from our ancestors and the signs and symbols and synchronicities, which is crazy because I was just talking about how the readings have been crazy and there have been all these synchronicities, and you know, that's what the owl sort of is speaking to, you know, just to paying attention to these signs, you know. And and then what's even crazier is, like, I was talking about how I had that really powerful reading about redemption, and there was like, I was like literally calling cards as they fell out, and the, you know, the synchronicities. And while I was doing that reading, literally I was talking about getting struck by lightning, and like while I was saying that, the lightning card fell out, because literally the reading I did right before that reading was about when lightning strikes, you know. So I like literally called this card out while it was falling out. And this is a card of like sort of getting like a jolt of inspiration from the universe. Like you're getting hit with some sort of situation, and it's causing a shift in your consciousness, you know. Like it's like you have to pay attention. Like it's just sort of like this jolt of inspiration or awareness, where you're just like, you know, a sudden shift in awareness. And then this is so crazy. So we got the corn and the gatherer, and these are both kind of similar in a sense. Like this is all about abundance and like your harvest, and like all the work and toil that you've done all season is coming into season. Like this is your moment, you know. And the gatherer is all about, you know, this person who's come into alignment with the harvest, you know. Like the gatherer is sort of like a forager, but she's just like she's in the space of abundance. Like, she's not concerned, you know, about having enough, or, you know, or there not being enough, or being scarcity, because she's in her flow and she's in abundance, and everything that she needs is around her. So she doesn't need to hoard. She knows that whatever she needs is going to be provided for, which is also beautiful, because the whole reading about redemption, the reading Redemption, was all about healing this lack mindset, you know, and coming into this abundance. You know, by healing that, you're kind of like ascending from this situation, and stepping into this energy, you know. So it's like this card comes out in the redemption reading, and then in the new moon in Aquarius reading, which is the next reading, it's all about paying attention to the signs and symbols, because there's actually abundance all around you, like you're being provided for, you know. So this is a message for the divine feminine. So I'm going to go to the Radiant Wise Spirit Tarot to pull some overall energies for this reading, but it's just sort of like, oh my gosh, so these two cards just flipped out, and this is like the Four of Pentacles is like a card of hoarding, you know. It's like hoarding your emotions and hoarding your energies, because you're fearful, like, that if you give this up, that you're not going to have enough, you know. This is totally like a lack thing, you know, and you have to let that go, you know, to bring in abundance. And then the other card that flipped out is this Four of Wands, which was totally prevalent in the new moon in Aquarius reading also. But this is a card of stability and abundance, and it's just like, sort of like, when you can let this go is when you're going to bring this in, you know. So it seems like there's this big shift of consciousness that's going down right now, you know, going from a scarcity mindset into an abundance mindset, which is like this huge healing event. And what's also crazy is that the new moon in Aquarius reading, there was this huge climax that was happening with multiple threads, because, you know, this channel is organized according to threads or storylines. So it's like this intersecting daytime soap opera where there's these recurring characters that come and appear over and over. And what was crazy is that they were all climaxing in that new moon in Aquarius reading. Like, there were 5 of the storylines that were all climaxing around this same storyline, and it was the storyline of this stalker situation, which is totally this situation that's born out of lack being healed, and it was causing this like total change to happen, you know, in all of those threads. So, oh my gosh, wild. So, okay, so at the bottom of this deck we have the Six of Cups, which this is like a soulmate from the past, someone that you have like a really beautiful, strong connection with. So, you know, maybe that person might be coming back. It's not clear. We're going to keep going with the reading. But for overall energies, I have the Nine of Swords, the Star, and the Four of Swords. So it's interesting because there's a little bit of a duality that's going on, because this is a card of healing and your wishes coming true, and it's also the card of Aquarius, and this is the new moon in Aquarius that's happening right now. So this new moon in Aquarius is bringing in some sort of huge healing event that's having like a big impact. But it looks like it's also bringing in a lot of fear and anxiety that's like coming to the surface to be healed. So, you know, there's a lot of chaos and a lot of conflict that's happening around this, even though the overall, you know, impact is beautiful and it's, you know, a good thing. Like, these demons are going to have to come up to be healed in order for this healing to happen. Like, these energies have to surface so that they can be healed. And so this is requiring us to sort of take a step back and like rest, you know, and kind of focus on ourselves on healing this energy. Like, we need to be intentional about that right now because it's really important. This is a really big turning point, and so we need to you know, take the time to heal that energy, because some really big shifts can happen if we actually take the time to do that. So at the bottom of this deck, I'm pulling out my Chinese Rider-Waite Tarot. And at the bottom of this deck, I also have this Four of Pentacles, which is crazy because that was at the bottom of the other deck. Oh my gosh, this is so crazy. So yeah, so I have this, and then I have the Nine of Cups. So it's just like, yes, we need to heal this hoarder lack mentality so that we can make our wishes come true. And we need to be intentional about that. So I'm going to pull some more cards just to get some sense of where we're headed. But it looks like a big change is underway. I mean, it's clear that a big change is underway. Oh my gosh. Okay, so just a couple more cards. Oop, there's 3 that all fell out. Okay, wow. All right, so we have the 3 of Wands. It's a card of waiting for your ships to come in, like seeing what you want. It's on the horizon, but it hasn't quite come forward yet. Then we have the Knight of Wands. So this is like a player energy. Like a real charming, like Casanova kind of guy who's real charming and the ladies love him, but he's not super reliable. But then there was a reading about this guy that just happened. And I'll put a link to it here because it was just like a couple days ago where something happened, and I feel like there was something about lightning in that reading too. But I will find it and link it here. And then we have the Six of Cups again. So this soulmate from the past energy is, you know, this is the second time this has come up. So it's just almost like this Knight of Wands character, this Mr. Charming, maybe has his sights set on this soulmate from the past. And he sees that in the horizon, but it's not something that's come to fruition yet, you know. And then we have the Three of Pentacles, the Wheel of Fortune, and the Four of Cups. So this is a card of sort of like, there's a cup being offered to you, but you're not taking it, you know. You're just like either not seeing it, or you're just, sorry about that. I'm hitting the limits of my phone because I'm almost out of memory. I really just needed to get a new phone, but I'm just trying to work with it. But anyway, so with this energy, it's like you're either not seeing the opportunity or you're just refusing to be open to it, you know. Okay, sorry. I'm still dealing with the storage issue on my phone, which will eventually get dealt with. But anyway, so you're not seeing this opportunity, and you're either not seeing it or you're turning it down. But then we have the Wheel of Fortune. So there's something changing with this, like resistance. And there's a new foundation that's being built. But it's interesting because I was talking about how there's all these crazy synchronicities that are happening. And like, you know, how there was this lightning card that came out in this reading. And then the reading, you know, the reading from the new moon, the reading before that, which was called Redemption. And then there was a break because I didn't do any readings for several days before that. But then the reading before that was called, it was literally called When Lightning Strikes, and it was all about this character, this Knight of Wands character. So this Knight of Wands is going through some sort of big shift, like lightning is striking, and his wish is coming true, you know. And it's interesting because his wish is coming true, and it's like the Aquarius card. So it's almost like the new moon in Aquarius is when it's happening, his wish, you know. And it's like there's all this anxiety because we're waiting for something to happen, we want to build this new foundation, you know, and it hasn't happened yet, but it looks like there's some triggering event around the new moon in Aquarius, where lightning is going to strike this fellow and some big shift is going to happen. And it's like there's this cup of love that's being refused, and there's this soulmate connection from the past that's been being contemplated. So it's almost like we've been contemplating this situation forever, you know, like seeing it off in the horizon and wanting to build this new foundation, and there being all this anxiety about it. But then something triggering is going to happen around the new moon in Aquarius, where lightning's going to strike and something's going to shift with this situation. So that's really interesting. I'm going to pull 3 more cards from this Radiant Wise Spirit to see if we can get some guidance about what's going on and how we might move through this energy. But, oh my gosh, there was this pile that just fell out, and it's really interesting because this card was at the bottom of this pile, which is this, it's like a decision point, you know, like you got the world in the palm of your hands, and there's this decision that needs to be made and some change that's going to happen. But what's also interesting is this is reminding me, there was a video called Coming of Age, and it was all about this guy who was also in a video called When Lightning Strikes, and it was the Divine Masculine, and he was coming of age, and he was going through some sort of ascension, like he was going to have to right some wrong, and that was going to allow him to, it was going to allow him to ascend, and some wrong was going to be righted, which is crazy because this is at the bottom of my deck right now. So justice was going to be served, and there was going to be an end to some long-held suffering. So, okay, I'm going to keep pulling cards because this is just getting weird. It's like I say things and then the card falls out. Like, I don't even know what to say about that. But I'm going to pull a couple more cards to see what's going on, because it's almost like this Divine Masculine is learning some sort of lesson, or something triggering is happening around this new moon in Aquarius. Okay, so I had 3 cards fall out. We had the 7 of Pentacles, which this is a card of planting seeds for the future, which is interesting because that's what it fell on top of this, which is like we're trying to lay this foundation and we see what we want off in the horizon, but it's not here yet. And we have all this anxiety about it. But here we are like planting seeds to maybe fix that. And then we have the Hermit. So this is a card of sort of like withdrawing and sort of exploring your spiritual aspects, and doing, you know, inner work to like heal something, which is interesting because that was all about the redemption thread. It was like healing this energy, and it was bringing about this huge shift, you know, which is kind of what this is speaking to. It's like this, it's almost like this Divine Masculine has gotten spiritual, done this inner work, and it's triggering some sort of shift to make his wish come true. And it's what's also interesting is that this thread, or this reading, was all intended about the Divine Feminine, and there's all this story about the Divine Masculine coming through. So it's like I'm not sure how those two energies are going to intersect, but it's interesting that Divine Masculine is making such this presence in this Divine Feminine reading, because they've been kind of in separation for a long time in the storylines. But then we get this King of Wands character. So this is a manifester. Like, this king is like fully in his power. He's in command of his emotions, and he's figured out how to use his power to manifest things in the 3-dimensional world. And he fell out right on top of this soulmate connection from the past. And this cup of love that's been being contemplated around this soulmate connection. And what's also interesting is that, you know, this Knight of Wands is going through some sort of spiritual lesson where he ascends, like he learns this lesson and he comes into his power and ascends. And then we have this King of Wands. So it's almost like he steps into his power and then he becomes the King of Wands. And like, this King of Wands was super prevalent in the New Moon in Aquarius reading, which was the timing card that was happening for him. And it was like there was this new world order that was coming up around this king. So, really crazy. It's like almost like the divine masculine is like stepping into his power, and there's this whole new world order that's coming up around him. So it's like almost like, but where does the divine feminine fit in all this? Like, this is where I'm like, what's going on? So I'm gonna pull a couple cards from Goddess Guidance Oracle, because this almost would suggest that there's like some sort of reunion that's like on the horizon. Because they're like, you know, he's starting to appear in a divine feminine reading, which I think says something. Okay, so I had 3 cards that just fell out. We had peace. There's no need to worry. Things are going to work out beautifully. So that's good. Inner wisdom. You know what you need to do. Trust your inner wisdom and take the appropriate action without delay. And then independent. Your independence is the foundation for your strength and success. So I think the divine feminine, you know, like the best advice for the divine feminine in this moment is like there's stuff happening behind the scenes clearly with the divine masculine. Like he's going through some huge ascension. And so, like, the best thing to do is just to, like, not worry about it. Focus on yourself. Follow your intuition. Things are going to work out. Like, this is your time for you, you know? Like, it's going to work out. I'm going to pull one from the Queen of the Moon Oracle. See what we have coming through with that. But, yeah, like the divine feminine readings lately have been all about how the divine feminine, like, doesn't really need to do anything because the divine feminine is in alignment, or she was already in alignment. So it's just like, don't worry about it. Your arrow is going to hit the mark. Things are going to work out, and the tables are turning, but not because you're trying to control events or because you're actively doing anything about it, but just because it's time, you know? And so this kind of speaks to that. It's just sort of like there's nothing for the divine feminine to do. Like, she's done her work. Like, now it's just a matter of, like, things are changing around her and watching it unfold, which is actually, it's kind of nice. It's like, okay, you've done your work. Now sit back and watch, you know, because watch it unfold, because there's like some fireworks for you, you know, like coming down the pipe. Enjoy the show. Okay, I'm gonna pull one more. All right, so we have blossoming. So yes, something beautiful is coming into fruition. Beauty. What I was just saying. It's beautiful, you know. You can just sit back and enjoy the show. And then we have self-love. That's so perfect. Focus on yourself. This is your time for you. And just relax, because everything is going to work out. Like, it's going to be beautiful, peaceful, and yeah, this is a moment for you. So enjoy it.